And isn't the best acting always about making us feel our common humanity beyond separate identities? A black George Washington in Hamilton, of course. But Ryan Gosling as Frederick Douglass? Yes, that would be problematic. Ditto Shia LaBeouf as Shaft. It's... Why don't we just go by merit and let the best actor win? Which seems like what happened when Ana de Armas just got picked to play Marilyn Monroe, even though she's Cuban with an accent. Hey, maybe she should play Fidel Castro and...
You know what's funny? Acting used to be the one art form where you could become anyone. That was the whole point. The magic of pretending, the thrill of transformation. But apparently, that's controversial now, because in today's Hollywood, pretending to be someone else can actually get you canceled. Welcome to the upside-down world of woke casting, where talent takes a back seat to identity politics, and everyone's too scared to just act. Bill Maher's recent takedown of woke Hollywood hit a nerve, and honestly, it's about time someone said it out loud. His target this time was casting directors, the so-called gatekeepers, who decide who gets the role and who gets canceled. These are the people who, instead of picking the best actor, now seem more focused on checking identity boxes, and Maher's point was painfully simple. Maybe, just maybe, we should go back to choosing actors based on talent. Crazy idea, right? Let's start with this. When did acting stop being about imagination and start being about ancestry? James Franco gets cast to play Fidel Castro, and suddenly John Leguizamo, who by the way once played a Venetian, a Frenchman, and even an Italian plumber, calls for a boycott over appropriation. I mean, really, the guy built his entire career on playing characters outside his background, and now it's suddenly a problem when someone else does it. That's not activism. That's hypocrisy disguised as virtue.
Casting directors have to stop listening to the casting police and go back to doing their job, which is picking the best actor for the role. Now, I mention this because a lot of people lately are either apologizing for or calling on others to apologize for playing roles they call appropriation. James Franco was just chosen to play Fidel Castro, and John Leguizamo posted, "No more appropriation. Boycott. It's f***ed up. I don't got a problem with Franco, but he ain't Latino." Okay, but John Leguizamo is Colombian American. He ain't a Venetian, but he played one.
And Maher nails it. Acting has always been about stepping into someone else's shoes, telling stories that push your empathy and creativity. The whole point of acting is to not be yourself. You don't need to share someone's DNA to bring their story to life with honesty and emotion. Imagine if that rule had always existed, half of Hollywood's greatest performances would never have happened.
He ain't a French little person or an Italian plumber, but he played them too, because he's... because he's an actor. Why the hell do you think people become actors? Because they want to spend their life not being who they are.
Tom Hanks as Forrest Gump. Nope, he's not actually mentally challenged. Sean Penn as Harvey Milk. Sorry, not gay enough. Daniel Day-Lewis as Lincoln. Cancelled, he's British. You see how
Tom Hanks as Forrest Gump? Nope, he's not actually mentally challenged. Sean Penn as Harvey Milk? Sorry, not gay enough. Daniel Day-Lewis as Lincoln? Cancelled? He's British. You see how ridiculous this gets? And that's the point Maher makes so well. The woke crowd claims they're protecting representation, but they're actually destroying it. Because the more we limit who's allowed to play what, the smaller and duller the world of art becomes. It's like telling painters they can only paint self-portraits. Where's the creativity in that?
Lewis really like? I haven't a clue, which is why he's so great. Because when he plays Lincoln, I only see Lincoln. I don't think, well, there's a British heterosexual. But Hanks says, I don't think people would accept the inauthenticity of a straight guy playing a gay guy because, quote, we're beyond that now. Don't get him started on bosom buddies. I mean, really? Does Forrest Gump get thrown under the bus too because Tom isn't really mentally challenged? And as far as we're beyond that, no, that implies progress. This is the opposite. This is
regression, but it's not just about one actor or one role. It's about a mindset that's slowly choking art itself. Today's Hollywood is paralyzed by fear, with everyone terrified of offending someone, so they end up creating the safest and dullest content possible. And you can feel it as an audience member, can't you? Movies that seem sterile, fake, and lifeless. Because actors aren't performing freely anymore, they're performing cautiously. Every line and every casting choice is filtered through politics instead of passion. Maher made a great point with Eddie Redmayne. Remember when he played a transgender woman in The Danish Girl? Back then, he was praised for his courage and for portraying that experience with depth and empathy. But years later, he called it a mistake. Why? Because the woke crowd decided only trans actors should play trans roles. And you have to wonder, why apologize for doing exactly what acting is meant to do?
Creating sounds like an unforgivable sin until you remember that's what acting is. That's why acting jobs are called roles. Sean Penn won an Oscar for playing gay civil rights martyr Harvey Milk. At the time, it was considered a courageous act of solidarity for a straight male movie star to play a homosexual. Now it's the opposite. Eddie Redmayne played a transgender woman in The Danish Girl, but now calls that a mistake because many people don't have a chair at the table. Well, actually, in movies now they do. And what does it have to do with you playing trans? Does it then work the other way? Can trans actors only play trans characters? Because that's not going to be a good deal.
Eddie's performance wasn't mocking or disrespectful, it was humanizing. He brought understanding to people who might never have experienced that story otherwise. Isn't that what representation is supposed to do? But apparently, that's not enough anymore, because the outrage machine never stops. Even when you do everything right, it's no longer about progress. It's about control, about who gets to define morality in art. And that's what people need to wake up to. This constant moral policing doesn't lift art, it flattens it. And don't even get me started on the double standards. When a minority actor plays a traditionally white role, it's called groundbreaking representation. But when the reverse happens, it's suddenly cultural appropriation. So which is it? You can't have artistic freedom that only works one way. Either everyone gets to explore new roles, or no one does. Fairness doesn't work on selective terms.
Always about making us feel our common humanity beyond separate identities? A black George Washington in Hamilton, of course. But Ryan Gosling as Frederick Douglass? Yes, that would be problematic. Ditto Shia LaBeouf as Shaft. It's... Why don't we just go by merit and let the best actor win? Which seems like what happened when Ana de Armas just got picked to play Marilyn Monroe, even though she's Cuban with an accent. Hey, maybe she should play Fidel Castro and...
Take Ana de Armas, for example. She got picked to play Marilyn Monroe.
Take Ana de Armas, for example. She was chosen to play Marilyn Monroe, and people lost their minds because she's Cuban and has an accent. But she nailed it. Her performance was haunting, emotional, and layered. Isn't that the whole point? Nobody cares about her ancestry when she's on screen. They care that she became Marilyn. That's what acting is supposed to be. But in today's Hollywood, a casting choice like that almost feels like an act of rebellion. And that's exactly Maher's point. When art starts being about politics instead of passion, we lose the soul of creativity. When every film is built around who should or shouldn't play a role, we stop telling stories and start managing outrage. It's exhausting for artists, for audiences, for everyone.
Go can play Marilyn Monroe, and then we can all stay in our lanes. Is that what diversity and inclusion look like now? Everybody's staying in their lane? Lawrence of Arabia was gay. Peter O'Toole wasn't. I can live with that. Because he was so cool, he almost made me gay. Emma Stone caught hell for playing a Hawaiian, Jake Gyllenhaal for playing a Persian, Gal Gadot for wanting to play Cleopatra. Johnny Depp for playing an Indian, even though he's not an actual Comanche, and spoiler alert, he also doesn't really have scissors.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Even Hollywood legends are giving into this nonsense. Tom Hanks literally said he wouldn't take his Oscar-winning role in Philadelphia today because the character was gay, and he's not. Let that sink in. One of the greatest performances ever, a film that changed hearts, raised awareness, and broke barriers, wouldn't even get made today. Why? Because we've confused empathy with offense. Think about it. If we follow that logic, it means gay actors can only play gay characters, trans actors can only play trans roles, and straight actors can't play queer characters. And what about everyone else? Does that mean a murderer can only be played by an actual murderer, or a war hero only by someone who's been to battle? It's pure madness. Acting is empathy.
Now says that if Philadelphia were made today, he wouldn't do it because the character was gay and he's not. Well, besides the fact that this would force all gay actors to reveal their sexuality, even if they didn't want to, great actors, which Tom is one, try hard to keep their private lives private so we don't think of their real lives when we see them in a movie that attempts to transport us into a different world. Could you really look at this actress now and not think of the trial? Should she only play bed-shitters now?
It's the process of imagining a life that isn't your own that's the entire point of acting. Take that away, and what's left? And let's be honest, this so-called authenticity rule doesn't just hurt actors, it hurts audiences too. Because now, instead of losing ourselves in a movie, we're constantly reminded of who the actor really is. Oh, she's not actually Hawaiian, or he's not really Persian. It ruins the illusion. The magic disappears. Films start feeling more like lectures than stories. And who wants that? You know what's really ironic? The same people pushing these rules claim to love diversity, but in reality, they're limiting it. They're saying art should stay trapped inside little identity boxes, everyone's stuck in their lane. But real diversity isn't about separation, it's about exploration, about connecting with different experiences through imagination. That's how we build empathy, by imagining lives that aren't our own. What these people are doing isn't protecting diversity, it's dismantling it.
Frankly, typical of so much wokeness that doesn't build on liberalism. It undoes it. Empathy, putting yourself in someone else's place so you can understand them better, used to be the very heart of liberalism. Now it's considered offensive because don't even try to put yourself in my shoes because you could never know. What a bunch of that always was. Of course, no one can ever know exactly what another person's struggle is, but we try.
And Maher drives this point home perfectly. He explains that this mindset doesn't build on liberalism, it destroys it. Once upon a time, empathy was at the core of liberal values. The belief that you could understand someone's pain even if you hadn't lived it yourself. But the new woke philosophy says the opposite. You could never understand my struggle, so don't even try. That's not empathy. That's segregation disguised as sensitivity.
Me was a 1950s book about a white man who darkened his skin and went out into society because he wanted to understand what his black brothers and sisters were up against. Today, all the woke mob would see about that was a guy who did blackface. Steven Spielberg recently remade West Side Story and bent over backwards to respect ethnicities and ended up pleasing nobody. And it's too bad because the original musical was created by Stephen Sondheim, Arthur Lawrence, and Leonard Bernstein.
Today, he'd be torn apart as a racist. But back then, his goal was understanding. It was empathy turned into action. The woke crowd would never see it that way now. They'd just call it blackface and cancel him by lunchtime. It's sad how far we've fallen. Even Spielberg, yes, that Spielberg learned this the hard way. When he remade West Side Story, he went out of his way to cast actors who perfectly matched every ethnicity, and still nobody was happy, because the woke mob can't be satisfied. You can follow every rule, make every apology, and they'll still find something to be offended by. Their goal isn't to improve art, it's to control it.
Next thing you're gonna tell me street gangs don't even dance. And now they're making a movie about Leonard Bernstein, and Bradley Cooper is playing it. I mean, if he can get through the picket lines. You see, like Rachel Brosnahan playing Mrs. Maisel and Helen Mirren playing Israeli Prime Minister Golda Meir. Bradley is, sadly, a Gentile. And that's the new sin in Hollywood, being a non-Jewish actor portraying a Jew. Because that's always been the problem in Hollywood, not enough.
And that's why Hollywood feels so joyless now. Everyone's walking on eggshells. The same industry that once thrived on bold creativity has turned into a factory of fear. Instead of breaking barriers, it builds them. Instead of inspiring empathy, it punishes it. The woke crowd doesn't create culture, it polices it. Maher summed it up perfectly. This isn't progress, it's regression dressed up as virtue. And the saddest part is that it's killing the shared human experience that art was meant to celebrate. Acting is supposed to remind us of our common humanity, not divide us by background. When we stop trying to relate to each other, we stop being human. So maybe it's time for Hollywood to remember what it's meant to be, a playground for imagination, not an ideological courtroom. Let actors act. Let artists create. Stop treating creativity like a crime scene. Because when every role is filtered through identity politics, nobody wins. Not the actors, not the audience, not the art. At the end of the day, people don't go to the movies for lectures. They go for stories that make them feel something. Laughter, tears, awe, connection. You don't walk out of a great film thinking about the actor's identity. You walk out thinking about the character. And that's the magic we're losing. So yeah, Bill Maher's right, Hollywood has lost the plot. But maybe, just maybe, calling this out is the first step to getting it back, because art doesn't belong to ideologues, it belongs to everyone. And if we want to keep it alive, we've got to let it breathe again. And hey, if you agree that art should be free, hit that like button, drop a comment, and tell me what you think. Should actors be able to play anyone, or should casting always match identity? I want to hear your take. And don't forget to subscribe, we've got more videos like this coming that Hollywood definitely doesn't want you to see.